You know what hurts the most? It's not losing someone you love. It's realizing they never loved you, only the idea of what you could give them. For a long time, I believed love was about connection, about seeing someone's soul and being seen in return. But I was wrong. Painfully wrong. My story isn't about heartbreak. It's about awakening. It's about learning who people really are when you strip away the money, the cars, the image, and all that's left is truth. 3 years ago, I was just another guy trying to survive. I worked in a small auto garage that my father left me when he passed away. I was 27, single, and tired of trying to prove myself to a world that only noticed you when you had something to show. People saw me as an ordinary mechanic. Oil on my hands, grease on my shirt, long nights under broken engines. They assumed that was all I was, a man who worked with tools and not much else. But behind that garage door, behind the noise and smell of gasoline, was a secret no one knew. My father had built something much bigger before he died, a quiet investment company, disguised under the same name as the garage. He believed in living simply, staying humble. When he passed, every share, every account, every penny became mine. And yet, I told no one. Not my friends. Not the guys who came by on weekends. Not the women I dated briefly. I wanted to know, if people like me, would they like me for me? It's funny how fate works. The moment you stop looking for love, it walks in, disguised as an ordinary moment. She came in one afternoon. Her name was Sarah. Her car had a dented bumper and a cracked headlight. She walked in apologizing before I even said hello. "Hey, I'm so sorry," she said. "Someone backed into me at the mall. Can you fix it today? I really need it for work tomorrow." Her voice had that mix of nervousness and kindness that instantly pulls you in. I smiled. "Let's take a look. I'll try my best." While I worked, she sat nearby, scrolling through her phone but occasionally glancing up to ask questions. After a few minutes, we started talking, small talk at first. Where she worked, how expensive everything was getting, how life never seemed to go easy on good people. It felt easy, natural, like talking to someone I'd known forever. When I handed her the keys, she thanked me and said, "You know, you don't look like the type who belongs in a garage." I laughed. Guess I was born in the wrong movie. She smiled, that kind of smile that stays in your mind for days. From that day, she started stopping by often. Sometimes with coffee, sometimes with snacks, sometimes just with a smile. We'd talk for hours. About our childhoods, about our parents, about dreams, the ones that felt impossible. She said she wanted stability, a future, someone who understood life's struggles. And I thought, finally, someone real. One evening, she found me fixing an old car. The sun was setting, painting everything gold. She leaned on the door and said, "You ever get tired of working this hard?" I shrugged. "Yeah, sometimes. But when you don't have much, you learn to value what you earn." She looked at me for a moment, then said softly, "That's beautiful." I remember thinking, this woman understands me. Weeks turned into months. We weren't officially together, but we were something more than friends. Late night calls, inside jokes, that look in her eyes when she laughed. I thought maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something lasting. Then came the night she met my friend, Ray. Ray was the definition of show-off. Always talking big, always trying to look rich. He wasn't a bad guy, just shallow, addicted to attention. We'd known each other since college. I invited him to dinner one weekend. Sarah joined us. At first, it was fun, jokes, food, laughter. But halfway through, I noticed the change. The way she leaned forward when Ray spoke about his business deals. The sparkle in her eyes when he mentioned he was investing in luxury real estate. "Wow, you must be doing great for yourself," she said, her tone different, curious, almost impressed. Ray smiled. "Yeah, not bad. Bought a new place last month." She laughed and said, "Must be nice." The rest of the night, she barely looked at me. I drove her home. The silence was heavy. From that night on, things shifted. Her texts came later. Her tone is colder. Calls became shorter. Then one afternoon, I opened my phone and saw it. A picture, her and Ray, at a cafe, laughing, holding hands. I just stayed at it for minutes that felt like hours. No explanation. No goodbye. Just the truth, right there in front of me. I wanted to call her, to scream, to ask why. But I didn't. Instead, I sat in my car outside that cafe one evening, watching from a distance. They looked happy. The same smile, the same laughter, just not with me. And in that moment, something broke inside me. Not my heart, that was already numb. What broke was the illusion that love was pure. She didn't fall for him. She fell for what she thought he had. For weeks, I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, check my phone, then remember, she wasn't coming back. The pain was like a constant echo. But pain has a strange way of waking you up. One morning, I looked in the mirror and said to myself, enough. If she chose him because of money, then I'd build a life so successful, she'd regret ever walking away. But not for revenge, for clarity. I threw myself into work. The company my father left me, I took it to another level. Days turned to nights, nights into months. No distractions, no relationships, just focus. Within a year, I opened 2 new branches. Hired teams. Closed deals that once felt impossible. By the second year, the name my father built quietly was now one of the fastest growing private investment firms in the city. I had everything. Wealth, freedom, purpose. But no desire to flaunt it. I kept my circle small. No social media, no photos, no bragging. I'd learned that when people don't know what you have, they treat you differently, honestly. Then, one evening, 2 years after the breakup, I got an invitation to a charity gala. It was for local entrepreneurs. I decided to attend, not to show off, but to honor my father's legacy. I remember walking in, black suit, calm smile, no expectations. And then, I saw her, Sarah. She looked the same, maybe a little older, maybe a little heavier with guilt. But those same eyes, searching, curious. She froze when she saw me. Ryan, oh my God, I didn't even recognize you. Yeah, I said quietly. It's been a while. You look different. You're doing well, huh? Just keeping busy, I replied. She smiled, nervous. Busy seems to suit you. Then, as if fate wanted to make things poetic, Ray walked in. He didn't look the same either. Gone with the designer suits and gold watches. His face was tired, worn. I'd heard rumors, failed business deals, bad investments. He looked like a man who'd lost everything. The moment Sarah saw him, her smile faltered. I caught that flicker of panic. The realization that the rich guy she'd chosen was broken, and the garage guy she'd left was now untouchable. The host stepped on stage. And tonight's highest donor, the Ryan Cole Foundation, has pledged $1 million to support our education fund. The crowd turned toward me with applause. Sarah's eyes went wide. You donated that, she whispered. Yeah, I said simply. It's what my father would have wanted. Her voice trembled. I didn't know you had. I stopped her. You didn't care to know. She went silent. For once, she didn't have words. Later that night, she found me near the exit. Ryan, please. I made mistakes. I was stupid. I didn't see what I had. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman who once made me believe in forever now stood there, desperate for a second chance. You saw what you wanted to see, I said softly. You just didn't like the truth. She bit her lip, tears forming. I still care about you. I nodded slowly. No, you care about what I've become. But that's not love. It never was. She broke down crying. I walked away. Not with anger, not with hate, just peace. Revenge didn't need words. It was the silence. Success lived quietly while she drowned in her own regret. A week later, she texted me. If you ever forgive me, I'd love to talk. I didn't reply. Not because I wanted to punish her. Because I'd finally learned something important. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reconciliation. Sometimes, forgiving someone means leaving them exactly where they belong, in the past. Now, I spend my days mentoring young entrepreneurs, helping them build their dreams, teaching them the lessons life taught me the hard way. And sometimes, late at night, when I lock up the office and step outside, I think of her. Not with bitterness, not with sadness, just understanding. She was my greatest teacher. Not because she loved me, but because she showed me what love isn't. Love isn't admiration for success. It isn't an attraction to status. It isn't about what someone owns. It's about presence, effort, and respect. She fell for my friend's money, not knowing it was mine all along. And that's the irony. The man she wanted never existed, and the man she left became everything she was chasing. I don't hate her for it anymore. I just feel nothing. Because when you truly heal, indifference replaces anger. Peace replaces revenge. People often ask me, would you ever take her back if she changed? And I always smile and say, she didn't need to change, I did. Because real growth doesn't come from proving others wrong. It comes from proving yourself right. If you're listening to this and you've been betrayed, if someone left you because you weren't rich enough, successful enough, remember this, you don't need to chase validation. You need to chase evolution. Let them go. Let them believe they won. Because one day, when your peace speaks louder than their absence, they'll hear it, and it will echo. Love built on greed collapses, but love built on truth never dies. So, if someone walks away when you have nothing, let them. Because one day, when you finally have everything, they'll realize they lost the only thing that truly mattered, your heart. And that's when you'll smile, not because you got revenge, but because you got freedom. Moral: people don't change when they lose you. They change when they lose the version of themselves that benefited from you. Never hide your worth to test others, but never forget what you learned when they failed the test. And if my story meant something to you, stay. Because the next one might just save your heart before someone else breaks it. Subscribe for more stories like this.